My social media tech savvy ain't showing. Whoa. Oh, I like that. Hello, people from the depths of the mushroom jungle. So that should be better, I think, sound-wise. Probably, I'm guessing there is actually sound now. It's probably better for peeps who want some peeps who wants a little bit of sound. It tends to decide that it wants to go through my headphones. So it's upstairs somewhere trying to listen to Jane having a shower or something. And now I can hear the ramblings. I know H.S. Williams. You don't want to miss on that. Adrian, how are you? Matt, how are you? Greetings from the UK. Oh, love the UK. Sean, now you're there. Jim the Evo. I'm early enough that you're still in the mushrooms without sound. Oh, good. There you go. As long as we're in the silent mushroom stage. Good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Jim the Evo. Good morning, everybody. So I was babbling on. I was saying I'm trying a little experiment with the mushrooms where I'm putting them under a jar. I want to see what happens if I put the mushrooms. I knock this over every time under a little jar. You can't really see, but they're under a little jar here because I thought they're very dry, rather dry, these little mushrooms. So I thought I would give them a nice little moisture thing. Thank you, Bob. Glad you're here watching me make an idiot of myself on the interwebs, because that's what I like to do. I seem to make everything overly complicated. It's like everything is a perilous quest on Stargate to just to do a freaking YouTube video. Look at that. That's not bad framing. Look at that. That's not bad at all. A little sauna, exactly. A little mushroom sauna. That's what I'm thinking. Well put, Imperador. And hello, Imperador. Imperador's always got the best questions, just so you know. Jersey Dolphins, hello. And from Russia, I'm afraid I can't pronounce your name. I don't know how I would say that. I don't even know. I would not even know where to begin on that. But hello, Russia. We love you. Are those edible? They are edible. Oh my God, are they edible? They are delicious. I had them for breakfast yesterday. That's why they're missing. So all of these ones here are ones that I ate. Because, it's no fun to grow things if you can't eat it. Has anyone made the You're a Real Fungi? You're a wild and crazy fun guy. Yeah, exactly. You just have. Sherry, good morning to you. Or Shari. Shari don't like it. What do we got? Here's what I want to see what I make with them. I already ate them. Sorry, Amaya. Maybe I should have documented that, but I put them in butter and I cooked them with some fried eggs, and they were delicious. No, scrambled eggs. They were delicious. Okay, thank you very much, Gary. Looking well. I don't know about that. But thank you for lying. What are the kits that you bought? I have been thinking about dabbling. Oh, well, I really like it when my voice changes. I've used these guys. Who are they? They are, they should be better marketed. I think they're called Fungia. Like it's like Fungea or AE or something like that. They came with one of our food delivery services, like either Whole Foods or Good Foods, or one of the many things that arrives. The Lego kits, as I call them, for dinner. So basically, Jane provides me with the little Lego kits, and I go, ooh, instructions, and I follow them, and then at the end of it, we have dinner, and that's how she's tricked me into cooking. Recently started to watch SG Atlantis, and her favorite character is Dr. McKay, because obviously your mother has fabulous taste. And so give your mother a giant hug if you're allowed to. If not, from 6 feet away, tap her gently with a stick. And tell her she has magnificent taste in characters. So we're talking about fungies or fungies. It's more fun to say fungi, although I think fungi would be, or fungi would probably be what we used to say in school. Anyways, and then this subject of video games being turned into film and television. I don't know about you, but I'm so freaking sick and tired of being resold stuff that's already been sold to me in some other form, even when I've liked it. I don't want to see Sandman, that TV series, because I have Sandman the comic books, and those are what I want to remember Sandman that way. I know I sound like a grumpy old fart, but the reality is, I don't want this thing's Swamp Thing was freaking ruined by their feeble attempts to try to turn that into a television series and a movie series and all that crap. While I do very much admire Benedict Cumberbatch, all the movies. I mean, one of my favorite comics, again, growing up, incredibly, looking back on it now, I was reading it with a kid, and I was like, let's stop, because it is xenophobic. It is Western world, yellow peril kind of racist against the Asian community of all types in that comic book. But boy, I used to love Doctor Strange. Man, Doctor Strange was cool. And then you see in the movie, and it's just like, I don't know, they just can't do it justice. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I'm not the Benedict Cumberbatch can. That guy's freaking brilliant. I could do anything. But Doctor Strange as a didn't work for me. Then I'm sorry. I just can't. I don't. It's like it. I feel like it stifles my imagination. It stifles the wonderful sort of dreams that I used to have about the things that I read in comic books and stuff. It was all the things that happened between those frames within comic books that I loved. Is that dream imagining how they got to this fantastic image that they've created. And Swamp Thing was one of the best at that. They had the most beautiful transitions, the way they sort of mimicked the growth of what I now know is probably mycelium, mimicking the growth of jungle vines and things, and the way he could appear in a flower, and there's one amazing episode where he like grew fungi on himself, and then they ate them and they like tripped together. I remember as a teenager just going like, "This is so weird, it's great." So I really, when I hear that they're making movies and TV things out of video games, I get even more concerned because I've yet to see anything that I really. Can anyone think of one that was good? I can't think of a film that I really was like, I walked away from and went like, oh man, I'm so glad they made that instead of the movie, instead of the game. But Last of Us, I heard about Last of Us, and I thought Last of Us is probably, of all of the ideas that they had, is probably one of the better ones to make a series out of because it was so rooted in the characters. But again, I worry that it just becomes. I mean, I know a lot of people love The Walking Dead. I preferred the comic book. I read the comic book. I still continue to this day to read the comic book of The Walking Dead. I love The Walking Dead. I think the actors in The Walking Dead again are fantastic and stuff. I just don't want to see it. The comic book, I guess there's just a part. Again, I'm not saying they shouldn't have made Walking Dead because I think the reality is The Walking Dead opened up zombie as a genre to the general population, whereas like nerds like me have been watching zombie movies since like the freaking 70s and loving them. But I just felt that The Walking Dead was like a great way to bring zombies into everyone's living room on a daily basis, and thus its popularity. But for me, the comic book was just such a great concept. The idea that the zombies weren't the Walking Dead; it was the humans left behind in the wake of this disaster, and these just horrendous decisions and questionable calls that people make in this thing. Just glorious, absolutely glorious. So that was just that was that is a series that I completely understand, and I feel the same sort of way about The Last of Us. Also, Pedro Pascal, oh my God, he's gonna be freaking great. I love that guy. I'm just watching a film that he's in right now. I started watching it last night, but it was so late I fell asleep. I didn't fall asleep because of the movie. I fell asleep because I had to turn it off and say, look, David, get some sleep, otherwise the mushrooms will take over your brain. So it's called Prospect, I think. Kind of a fun sci-fi, slow sci-fi, but he is just chewing up the scenery there. Anyway, so hello from Belgium again, Nicholas. So Last of Us. Kind of looking forward to seeing what they do with that, but at the same time, again, a bit worried about the idea that they're making a series out of a brilliant couple of games. Naughty Dog, when they created it though, were inspired by this crazy fungus that infects ants in the jungle. Not just ants. I always thought it was just ants, but it turns out that it can actually, a bunch of these things can affect a number of different insects. And so I shared a little National Geographic thing, which is really like a horror movie. I was just thinking, I said to Jane the other day, I said, if I wanted to teach kids about nature now, I think I would just pitch it like a horror series. I would just say like, this is like, zombie horror. And then you could do a whole thing about just zombie ants. And then you could do like, bloodbath, and you could have like how parasites infect bodies of of animals and humans and stuff. Just have like literally pitch it like a gore fest horror show. And I think Jane was like, but do people really want? Aren't you trying to teach people to love nature? I was like, no, people love that stuff. I mean, that's it. Cordyceps. That's it. The cordyceps is the fungus. And it's just extraordinary stuff because these spores get into the ants or onto the ants, and I guess chemically control them. Gets to the point where it basically makes them do what they want. What they want them to do is to climb up a tree to exactly the right height for sunlight and humidity and the perfect vantage point for then having them clamp on in a death grab. These ants will basically just go and then die, and they're stuck there. They are not going anywhere. And then the fungus grows, and then the spore pod comes out and it goes, and then and because of its placement, it's right above, the little ant highway, so it just nails all the other ones. So, come on, friends, come join me. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And apparently you can wipe out entire colonies that way. So, of course, that's my next thing. Is, are we going to be walking around with these things growing out of our heads? I mean, I'd be very curious. I know that there's an awful lot of experimentation happening with these things. People are fascinated by this whole concept. I'd be very curious to know if they can do this in the insect world. Can they, in some way, do it in the mammal kingdom? And yes, Girl with All the Gifts, great. Okay, great zombie movies. What do you want? Great zombie movies. Girl with All the Gifts, 28 Days. 28 Days Later, that first one, oh my God. I know people like the second one as well, but the first one was like revolutionary. It was like, why hadn't we thought that zombies could run before that? Or at least that was the first time I'd seen it. So yeah, that was brilliant. Train to Busan, I believe, was another one that I absolutely loved. What other ones? There was a really cute one that was sort of a romance between a human and a zombie, which I don't know why I enjoyed it, but I did quite like it. And then, of course, Shaun of the Dead, which is like a classic. And then you go back to all the classics like Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead. I watched all those films. I freaking loved them. Although I did leave one. I was with a very, very lovely date who was very offended by the zombies that they were watching, and I feel like I let myself and my nerds down by leaving because we were offended by the violence. When really I was like, I then as soon as it was available on VHS, I then went and got it and watched it because I love my zombies. Anyways, although zombies now, again, my zombie love has waned of late. Although something like the what do we call them, the cephala something and others, they're oh my God, The Thing, man, that like 80s, that 1980s Thing, John Carpenter's Thing, is one of my favorite movies of all time. Just freaking brilliant. And then if you go back and watch the even earlier black and white one, that's genius for its just snappy dialogue and stuff. Very, very cool. Yeah, we got some snow. One Cut of the Dead is a really nice Japanese zombie movie. Okay, great. Man, and those, the Japanese make some pretty freaking brutal zombie films too. And then anime-wise, there's the whole like Tokyo Ghoul and stuff. They're not really zombies, I guess, but that's kind of neat. Was it 82? Yeah, that makes sense. Around 82. How is everyone today? Rebel Time Lady says. I'm doing very, very well. I never do this. Like I truly, well, I guess I did it with Stargate, but I don't usually watch shows that I'm involved in. But I sat down Brain Dead. Yeah, Brain Dead. Oh my God, that's been a long time. I actually sat down last night and I watched ViCap. No, they're calling it Clarice here. So when we're filming it, we call it ViCap, but it's Clarice on television. And I love that show. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I got to say, I think the cast is wonderful. I love the way they're going on all sorts of little different directions and stuff. And you wait. I mean, I didn't tell you, but I show up later. And, once they've sort of established these wonderful characters a little better, I come in and start screwing it up a bit. But they are just like Cutlets. Oh my God, that guy's a freaking superstar. He was on Walking Dead. He's got that presence, and he runs the set like he's like a father figure, or like a great grandfather figure, like almost like a presidential figure. He's just a fantastic actor and a just a amazing human being. Rebecca's fantastic. Oh my God, Clarice, what do you think of Clarice? Isn't she great? I thought she just like she's got an Australian accent. She's Australian, and she sounds like that. She's got it down. Um, yeah, I think I'll get what games. I think it. I gotta say the. So I was. We read through I think it was 4 and 5 the other day. Or was it 8 and 9? I can't remember now. I think no, it would be 8 and 9 now. I guess they're further on. And I'm like I said, I think I said this before. I did the read. I had to not had to, but they actually Mike arranges the read throughs. So it's not we're not required to do them. Mike just says, "Look, do you want to just read the scripts through and say hi and stuff?" And so we do that. And so I was in the first episode, but not the second. So I guess the assumption is that you do the first episode, you say thank you very much, and off you go and goodbye. But when everyone went for coffee between the two episodes, I went and grabbed myself another fake beer and came back and just sat back and watched the next episode that I wasn't in. Just watched all these amazing actors do their stuff because holy crap, there's some great people in there. Yeah, and wait till you see where it goes because it's really not what I thought it was going to be. Like I just assumed they were sort of going, it makes sense, like a procedural, like yeah, what is it, like mass murder of the week type thing. But it's taken a really it's fascinating kind of look into that era of our little U.S. of A and the FBI and the whole sort of police force type stuff. So anyways, just really neat. Anyways, so didn't watch it because no cable. But here's the thing. Does that mean it's available elsewhere, isn't it? Like when they do these things on, because I never watch television. Like I literally, the only time I ever watched real television was the first time we watched it in ages was for the Super Bowl halftime show. Like I just wanted to watch The Weeknd and then ignore his lyrics. I don't like his lyrics, but I love his music. Oh my God, his voice is brilliant. If only he would just not be so damn derogatory towards women, then I'd have a better time enjoying his stuff. But so there's that. We watched that, and then of course we saw an ad for Queen Latifah. And I'm not gonna stop. I'm not watching Queen Latifah. Are you kidding me? Queen Latifah as the Equalizer. That was like so much fun. So we watched that. And then of course there were all these ads for ViCap, and I thought, well, maybe I guess we've got this stupid TV thing that we never watched. We should do that. So I was actually going to record it and watch it later, but Jane's like, no, you will sit down and you will watch your show, damn it. So I watched it and I was like tweeting and I saw Chris Holden Reed being really cool in it. And yeah, it was really fun. So hello, is it potentially Andy or you're definitely Andy now? Is it potentially? I can't do the chat thing. It's without knocking everything over. Potentially Andy. Hello again. Yes. Miss Liz is here. Hello, Miss Liz. I didn't know about the anime prequel. That's something I'll have to search on. What anime prequel? What are we missing? What? Oh, Zagorina needs to smoke mushrooms in order to feel happy. That's not true. We're here now. We're all talking now. I can see the psychological thread they're going with. I know it's neat, isn't it? Oh, there you go. CBS All Access and VPN. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is true. When you watch stuff that you're not in, does it ruin it? Like I would get chance to see screenings, but I don't like it unless I had got the whole season. It ruins the whole show. Interesting. I mean, I don't watch a lot of television. I got to be honest. I just don't. I know actors always say that. I prefer nonfiction stuff. I prefer the nonfiction stuff for the most part. I find it very, very difficult to enjoy shows because, as you've just pointed out quite wisely, you know how it's all made. So sometimes you see the process, and when you see the process, it kind of ruins the thing for you. You know, I do sort of long for those innocent days when you could just kick back and go, wow, you know? And every so often that happens. I've got to say, I was watching this film Prospect last night, this science fiction film, and with Pedro Pascal, soon to be Last of Us, always Mandalorian, and was just marveling at how sort of seamless they created this science fiction world, and just how the effects have just become, I mean, they've just become background. I mean, we take for granted these extraordinarily beautiful sort of particle effects and little animated sprites. Not sprites is the wrong word now. They're not even sprites now. They're like animated characters, basically. And all they're doing is just sort of floating by in the background, like little jellyfish and stuff. So, oh yeah, Game of Thrones, of course. What was his part in Game of Thrones again? Was he the guy who gets? I shouldn't say that, should I? Hey, Lindsay, if I'm a rebel. Oh my God, if I'm a rebel. Oh man, I'm like the lamest rebel ever. Adam Kelly said, "I just finished season 4 of Mr. Robot, and my brain is still recovering." I kind of Mr. Robot lost me. I loved it. I was watching the first season, and I was absolutely my. I was just. I was enraptured by this first season because I loved how accurate their hacking stuff was. There was none of this stupid Hollywood crap. It was like I saw real Unix commands. I saw real networks, packet sniffers at work and things. Like it was just magnificent. And then they have this stupid reveal at the end, and I'm like, what? And I thought I'll give it another chance. I go back for second season, and second season I couldn't even wade through it. I gave up. It was really bothered me. I don't know if they ever get back to the accuracy of that stuff. The other one that I started watching, which I've got to pick up again because I was quite taken with it, was *Halt and Catch Fire*, sort of about the early days of the computer industry, the early, the original PC days, the garage days of HP and stuff. So yeah, that's one that I'm quite interested in as well. But again, documentary stuff. Although I say that documentary stuff or really really bad films. Because at night I just go for the cheesiest poster and I watch that. So yesterday said you were a superhero and I agreed. Oh yeah, no, it's true. Well, no, I do feel I am. And my superpower is whining. Gotham, yeah, Gotham was pretty great too. I don't know. Again, I never got. Yeah, it's funny. I don't keep up with a lot of the shows, and I think that's sort of a part of the problem is there's so much stuff out there. Do not look up shooting locations of Lost; it will ruin the illusion of the show for you. Oh, really? Chernobyl was an amazing series. Chernobyl. Okay, so here's the problem that I have with Richard Harris's son, Jared Harris. My problem with Jared Harris is this: he's freaking brilliant, and he makes me want to quit acting. Like I look at him acting, and I just go like, he does everything I've ever wanted to do in acting. Like all of the subtlety and then the subtlety and the showmanship and this amazing combination of acting. I would say if someone asked me who the greatest actor on the planet is right now, I would say Jared Harris. And then I would give up acting and I would become a full-time tech bandit because that guy, he does stuff that I dream of doing and then things I never would have dreamt of doing. And he brings something to every freaking character he does. He's extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. Like I truly don't know of any other actor that has had that kind of effect on me. And Chernobyl is I think one of the greatest television series that's been made. I mean, I think that's how you should make television series. I think they should be whatever it was, like 8 to 10 episodes long, and then just freaking stop it. Don't drag it on until we can't bear it anymore. Don't. I know, I guess you have to suck as much money out of it as you can, but I hold out hope that these short run series will be the way to go. I mean, some of them are designed to continue. I get that. Like that's like totally, that makes absolute sense. Some of them are just designed. They have like, what do they call them? The engine. They've got the story engine that just keeps going, and you can keep getting stuff out of that. So that's fantastic. Was he in Fringe as well? Oh, okay. Now I got to see him in Fringe because he's gonna be amazing. That I'm sure. He was amazing in The Expanse. Remember Jared Harris in The Expanse? Like he established that crazy dialect. Was the Belter dialect? Just he established that, and then I was like, anyone else who tried it after, I was like, not bad. I mean, you're like 40% Harris. Yeah, I think. Lindsay said yes. So obviously Lindsay agrees with whatever it is that I just said now. So obviously what I said was brilliant. Second season is shooting now. I can't wait. C is incredible. So different. So you're liking C. Interesting. Yes, second season is shooting right now. And that's all I'll say. Anyways, the pandemic has changed a lot of things, I got to say, with the filming because we are restricted hugely. I know that C went from massive amounts of background performers to like a couple of guys wearing masks at times because of the pandemic. I mean, we were one of the fascinating things that happened is watching how like even film sets have changed, even the construction of film sets where you've got I think it was VICAP. I mean, it was Clarice where they had like in the first few episodes you'll see they've got these open glass windows, not open glass windows, but they're clear glass windows that look out on this amazing, like sort of office structures that they have and stuff. You've seen bits of them in the pilot, and then so they've got offices with glass, with some glass, huge amounts of glass around them. Of course, they've all had to be frosted now because we can't have 10 people on set at the same time. Sorry. We often have more than 10 people on set at the same time. We can't have more than 10 people unmasked on set at the same time. So they can't have 10 actors on set at the same time. And of course, trying to act with a mask on is just not that exciting for people. So Rodney had been in Chernobyl, then the explosion would have taken out. But thank you, potentially, Andy. If there was a way to ban you, I would. Well done. Well, to bring it back to McKay. If the pandemic were into the show itself, then everyone could just wear masks in the show. I know, but the thing would be Easy Sparky is that's just not as engaging, right? The problem is it's very, very hard to connect with people. I'd have to move my eyebrows a lot more, and even then it doesn't work. It just doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same impact, right? And that's the problem, because people have tried. I mean, people have tried that. I've seen like some sitcoms, and I got to say, comedy dies if you can't see people's faces. Like it really, it's difficult. Yeah, you all become over the fence Wilson. But which was I thought really well done. But even then, it was very, it was all about writing for that. That actually explains the mask rules. Well, the new mask rules are that we're supposed to wear 2 masks now. So we wear an N95 and then a surgical mask on top, because apparently that's been proven to sort of reduce contact with the virus even more. I guess that makes sense. 2 masks better than 1, I suppose. I would have thought the N95 would have been enough, but I guess the part of it's also just in the handling of the masks, and the idea of having a mask on top of the other one, I think, allows for people to do stupid things like touch it, which they do with their regular masks all the time. So the idea is there's a lot of rules now that have come down. SAG was very, very strict. That's the Screen Actors Guild was very strict about it, and was demanding testing. Well, is demanding testing on a regular basis, and certain sort of procedures on set that try to basically contain any kind of back and forth between different groups, like try to reduce that different sections of the crew as much as possible. So if people are working on a set, people are building a set, they are never in contact with people who are actually performing on that set or filming on that set. And then the camera crew have different classification than people who are working in the trucks. So it's there's a lot of stuff there. You're basically adding another crew to the existing crew in order to make this stuff possible. And I truly commend the producer. I mean, I see Jane struggling with it for her film, struggling to try to make these already very tight budgets and schedules work with the complete sort of hectic chaos that is a pandemic, and ever-changing rules and ever-changing lockdowns, and people testing positive, and then you've got to change the schedule, and all sorts of stuff. So if this damn virus mutated even more, everyone would be forced to wear burqas. Well, I mean, look, maybe if we were wearing burqas, that'd be a better thing. You come home, and I mean, that's basically, you could eventually, we could be wearing hazmat suits, right? Well, that's it. Brett sucks. You've absolutely hit the nail on the head here. I mean, I remember people saying like, well, "What are you going to do? Shut the economy down to stop the planet from warming or from being polluted?" And you're like, "We just did that. We literally just freaking shut down our planet because of a virus that we could have prevented. I mean, maybe not prevented, but certainly have contained in a better way than we have. Certainly, a lot of less people could have died if we planned ahead. I mean, look, the cost to the U.S. economy of this virus is like, what did someone say? It was like 30 years of government healthcare. Like, if we just freaking, if we had healthcare, we could have paid for that last 30 years, and potentially could have prevented or even possibly noticed that this thing was happening faster. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get political because I know that ticks everyone off, and I don't know enough about it. But New Zealand showed the world how crap our governments are. What are you talking about? New Zealand, I thought you're being sort of heralded as this amazing example of how to do it. I thought New Zealand was like, had this down. We tried to change the atmosphere so the planet would not warm up any faster. Well, isn't that's literally an episode of Stargate? I mean, isn't that I can't remember the name of the episode now. Something about cold, ice, storm. Can't remember the name of it. But yeah, the whole idea of like trying to stop the planet from us from destroying our own planet by using technology. I mean, they're saying that we may have to get into that. I mean, we may actually have to get into the idea of geoengineering our own planet to some extent, because if we can't contain the amount of emissions and stuff, which it doesn't look like we're really doing a particularly good job of right now, so who knows? Yeah, it was the Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson episode. Thing with the environment is people will wake up only when it's too late and people are dying like flies. Like now, Matthias. Like exactly. Like I mean, and the reality is that to some extent, this virus is related to this sort of a global climate emergency stuff, because we are in closer proximity to animals that we wouldn't normally be in proximity to. We are in closer proximity to each other. We are, we are deforesting areas that are forcing different species of animals together that would not normally be together. So viruses are making jumps that they wouldn't have made normally in nature. Not to say that viruses wouldn't have happened anyways, and that mutations in viruses wouldn't happen anyways. Of course they would. But the idea that this is somehow a completely separate thing to the global climate emergency I think is silly. It's silly to think that they're not connected. I mean, I keep coming back to the fact it's just one big blue marble in space. So, I mean, like it's all going to relate. I always find it funny how the Stargate program has so many scientists and people working. I always face too fast. And people working for it, and the public still doesn't know. Yeah, well, what you think this? We don't know everything. Come on. We're the evil aliens transforming our planet and making it inhospitable. Yeah, exactly. This is the funny thing, is at some point I go like, are we the bad guys? Like, are we the virus? Are we the cancer spreading across the universe? This is what I worry about with exploration. I mean, no. I'm going to take that back. I've been using the term exploration and sort of settlement, colonization, as the same word. And I think that's a big mistake. It is a big mistake. I think exploration is important. I think we do want to see what's out there. We want to learn what's out there. Any information we can get about the planet and the universe and the planets that surround us, I think is going to be very valuable. What I worry about is that, it's like, we screwed this planet, let's hop onto the next one. There's a lot of people circling Mars right now, and congrats to the AEU for getting their craft circling the planet. There's some gorgeous photos coming out of there. Like, have you seen that crater, that massive crater? I mean, like, it's amazing that all these countries can do this. I'm just concerned that, are we going to then start carving these planets up the way we've carved up this one and starting to fight over them? I mean, are we really headed for an expanse future? I mean, is the expanse the way we're going? And is the virus going to be the fungus? Ooh, there you go. So maybe the expanse is some kind of horrid, prophetic, nightmarish, warning from the future. All right, what do we got? Exploration can also be dangerous. You can find and get dangerous pathogens on Earth, and then there will be a major problem of extinction. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm almost more worried about us bringing it to other planets. But Brainstorm, that's the one. Thank you, John. Xenos to the rescue. So, look, of course there's dangers in exploration. I mean, people died all the time as we explored this planet. People continue to die as we explore this planet. We've been very lucky so far with space exploration. In that, yes, we've tragically lost a number of people, but we are at a stage in our development of space exploration where we can do it with a certain amount of sort of safety sort of protocols in place that there's a far greater chance that people will survive the missions. That becomes much more difficult when you start landing on other planets and building habitats and dealing with environments we've never dealt with before. I really, really worry that we've got a lot of problems here. Got a lot of problems here that we haven't figured out, and I worry that just an unchecked mass exodus from this planet to any other planet is just going to bring the problems with it. And I also worry that we get into a haves and have-not situation where, like, I mean, as soon as every billionaire on the planet starts building spaceships, what does that tell you? Does that not make you slightly nervous that people with all of the money want off this planet? So, well, we just need to force the evolution of humans into a new species to keep living here. Well, I mean, in a way, that's it. I suppose we will develop to some extent. I was talking to, who was I talking to about this? Who was I talking to about this? Was it Gimpy G? I can't remember. I was talking to someone about the idea that maybe we talk about these much more so many more kids on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum these days, and that. So, oh, I know what it was. I was talking to Amelia of the Sea, who has an amazing Twitch channel where she's building like Atlantis in this game, which I can't remember. Satisfaction? No. What's it called? You'll have to. Someone will figure it out for me. But in this sort of a building game and a resources game. So she built this beautiful Atlantis and some train stations and bridges, and she's just got this wonderful mathematical brain. She is on the autism spectrum, I believe, and so she talks about how she has an ability to sort of translate these numbers and information into patterns in this game in a way that perhaps other people wouldn't. And I asked her if perhaps this was this an evolutionary jump? I mean, was this something that, because that is the kind of skills that are very, very useful in a plugged-in networked world. And is it possible that the children that we're having, could this be a mutation that will actually bring us a sort of a closer connection to the technology that we are rather sort of awkwardly bashing around with fingers and thumbs right now? Are we going to get to the point where our brain has developed in such a way that it's much more conducive to working with computers and vast amounts of information and numbers, and the idea of mapping this information into other forms and stuff? So I just thought that was kind of an interesting concept, that someone was talking about it. We need to mutate into different forms. What if we already are? I mean, how cool would that be? People who couldn't move didn't have much of a life until the technology got to the point where they could access the entire knowledge of the human race via a phone cable. And then the microcomputer technology became sort of small, and the switches became small enough. Manufacturing became, cheap enough that people could be using this technology to do things that we take for granted. So I feel like there are definitely some sort of changes in the way humans are connecting with our world and our technology now. And so it's and I'm sort of curious to know if there's if anyone finds anything about this, if there's anyone finds any sort of studies about this, I'd be very curious to know, because I just have this weird feeling that maybe there are psychological traits, possibly even rewirings in the brain that are happening because we're reacting to this new, constantly online, constantly connected existence. I mean, Ray Kurzweil talks about the singularity and how this point when I guess the technology becomes sentient or whatever. But what I find far more interesting about his stuff is the idea that we are not fast enough for our technology. That we can't interact with the vast amounts of information out there in an efficient way without other technology. And eventually this will be too much. There will be too much coming through the phone. There will be too much stuff available to us that we are going to then need to sort of up the RAM by either getting it closer to our brains or into our brains. And those will obviously have advantages and disadvantages as we go along. So yeah, we are the bottleneck. Exactly. Who said that? That was a very good point. The singularity is here, says Skynet. Thank you, Skynet. Dan Ward, we're the bottleneck. We are the cyborgs and the bottleneck. Absolutely. I'm going to BK, need a Whopper, have fun. All right, you do it, Rail Fanning and stuff. Oh, Burger King Whopper. My God, I'm jealous. AI, computer brain, what do we got? Interface tech will change things in a way that will blow our minds. No pun intended. We humans are very violent in our tendencies. Yeah, it's interesting. We are, yeah, well, and that's it, Mary Lou. We are bombarded by technology. The problem is technology is advancing at a faster pace than education for the general public. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think the educational system is wildly behind on the technology that is available to it. Um, One of the big complaints from the tech bandits is that or the things that resonated with them with a video that they saw the other day was that the idea that there is one teacher teaching a subject the same way to a group of 35 kids, and every one of those 35 kids has a different perspective and uh, understanding of the subject. So the whole point of technology is to be able to uh, create customized individual data for each person. Why the frack aren't we using that to create programs that speak to every type of kid within that realm, or at least in smaller groups, if that makes sense? How are we not more focused in our approach? I mean, there's definitely, as Lilifen has pointed out to me, we have made jumps in the educational system. There have definitely been conceptual changes in the way to approach this stuff, but this still comes down to a lack of resources, money, and I think there's a tendency with schools. Basically, people are worried about it while their kids are in school, right? So I'm very worried about pre-K and going into grade 1 when my kid's there, and then I sort of lose interest in that. Obviously, as then I start worrying about, well, grade 1 to grade 4 is a concern for me now. That is my big focus, and that will continue throughout. I'm sort of hoping to keep myself ensconced in this stuff with the tech bandits by sticking to around. For me, the life-changing time of my life, the thing that I think sort of molded me and sent me in the direction that I was going, a bit wobbly, admittedly, but that's more because of me than anyone else, but was around 14, was 10 to 14. That's where I began to turn a childish love of Doctor Who into a possible career choice as an actor, and to take an interest in learning about film and television and the process of making film. And I first fell in love with cameras and the whole process of making and producing and writing and scoring and editing and every aspect of film was just fascinating to me. Because it's such a nerdy thing. It's such a great, I mean, you get to geek out on all these different things along the way. So I was completely smitten with that early on, and I feel like that absolutely changed my life in a way that other people, I don't think had that advantage. I mean, I think if you know what you want to be, then it doesn't matter how well or badly you're taught from there on in. The reality is, if you know what you want to be and you are determined to get there, you will do all of the research. I mean, this is it. This is my sort of inspiration over education, where I feel like once you find something you love, we have the resources now more than ever, certainly more than when I was a kid. 1,000 years ago, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, back then you didn't have the internet, so you really did have to sort of do some legwork to figure this stuff out. Now it is literally as simple as putting in a search term and figuring out whatever that thing is that you're interested in. So and thus my focus with Tech Bandits of trying to inspire kids, because if you can inspire kids between 10 and, let's say, 10 and 16. I'm not saying give up after or don't start before, but that was sort of a very sort of pivotal moment for me. I feel like if you can get that, as Kenneth Robinson would call the element, if you can find that element, if you can find that one thing that inspires them, or that just compels them to go and dig deeper, I feel like that is a gift that that is something that I feel that's better than any accomplishment you could ever make as an actor, in my mind. I still feel like the best thing that ever happened from Stargate for me, other than me just getting to have a lot of fun playing McKay, was people coming up and saying, like, I do astrophysics, I do physics, I do science because of you. And I think that's just, not because of me, it's because of the character. But I find that very, very satisfying, and I think in an attempt to sort of continue that high, that's why I started the Tech Bandits thing, because I want more kids coming back and going like, you crazy guy with the hair, that's why I have robots as my best friends now instead of cats. Because if you can save one family from cats, I've done my work. All right, I should get out of here. I'm babbling on. So, not anything planned this weekend. I got to say, I'm taking some time off. Not off, but I'm gonna step back from the interwebs for a little bit this weekend. I'm going to. I may possibly do some gaming with Baz. I think he wants to do it as a father and son. He doesn't want it to be a posted thing, and bless him. I think that's important. I think that's so. I will endeavor to make that happen. Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will join my friends Auxiliary and Barnacles for Tech Talk. Please join us. We're talking Google Sidewalk, which will be interesting because I think we've had some sort of not run-ins, but we've had some experience with them here in Toronto. Unfortunately, they ixnayed the Google City A here, so there was a whole Google City thing planned here, and then I guess we got paranoid and decided to boot them. So we did. I was really excited because I kind of wanted to see it, but I'm a nerd. And I figure they own everything about me anyways, but just the idea of this, they had this sort of experimental city of the future thing that they were planning on building here, and I was really excited about it, to be honest. I think that's Sidewalk Labs. I think that's who we're talking about. Oh my God, I might have got it wrong. Anyways, 1 p.m. We never talk about, we always say we're going to talk about the tech stuff, and then we end up just babbling on. I promise not to preach. I'm sorry. The last time I was on there, I went off on my, my white guilt and white white privilege and I think I sort of hijacked the chat. I just I don't apologize for the subject, but I think maybe it was not the place to do it. So we will be talking tech. We will be geeking out and talking tech, and I think that's fabulous. Gonko. Gonko's here. I like that name. And Nibelung Valsti. What a great name. I told my parents I wanted to be a performer, but they were not paying attention to me, but that made me stronger. Well, that's it. I mean, I think, and people telling you can't do things is often a great motivator. I was never told that I couldn't do it, but it was always suggested that I do something else. How's that? Because the reality is, who in their right mind would recommend? Yes, Ms. Liz, the wonderful Miss Liz will be moderating. I'm guessing, right? Is that right? Yeah, Tech Talk. I do Tech Talk with Barnacles and Auxiliary over on Barnacles' YouTube channel. So go and check that out. When do you go live for Tech Bandits? It's usually very random. I've sort of been doing Tuesdays and Thursdays recently, sort of like around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesdays and Thursdays. But if you want to go see what we've been up to, then go to thetechbandits.com. And if you're over there, sign up. Whoa! I'm blind! I've blinded myself. I got too excited and I flung my glasses off. But seriously, if you're over at thetechbandits.com, go and sign up for the mailing list. And then I will mail you stuff. And they will be things like things I discovered by talking to the bandits and stuff. I suddenly feel so blind. I'm okay without them for a while. I had to confess, I was on set the other day and I said, look, I don't wear glasses on this show, but I see a future, or maybe I don't. I have fuzzily see a future where I may not be able to operate without glasses on. So perhaps we should consider maybe just laying the groundwork of some glasses, maybe while I'm reading things or something. So they're going to look into that because I was saying I may start bumping into furniture soon, so I have to be careful on that. My God, it's like deaf as a post, blind as a bat, and bald as an eagle. That's where I'm going. I always said that's where I was going, but that is in fact where I'm going. What do we got? Link. Barnacles. Yes, I can't do that here. I'm on the phone and I can't do links. I'm sorry, but someone else can. Can anyone else put links in there? Are they allowed to put links in? If anyone's allowed to put a link in, then please do. Oh God, I don't know if I want contact lenses. I don't. I feel like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'd get used to them, but I quite like glasses. I feel like I look smarter with them. I just had my vision checked this week. I have 38. I've got perfect vision. Okay, so I hate you. There you go. Test link, does it work? No, it doesn't work. Does test links not work? Yeah. Does anyone know what Barnacles' handle is on YouTube? I think, is it just Barnacles or is it Nerdgasm? One of the two. But if you just look up Barnacles, Barnacules is basically how it's spelled. And and you will find them. There you go. That's it. Sean M's got it. So just look up barnacules, and I'll see you there at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, which is that tomorrow? That's tomorrow. Hey, it's family weekend. Yeah, so we're doing that tomorrow. And then yeah, I want to do just a general chat at some point on Twitch. I haven't done that for ages, so I'm thinking about maybe doing that on maybe Monday. Although, who knows? We'll see how today goes. So until we geek again, I'm out of here. I gotta go. It is amazing when I fell in a pit with Amanda. Talk about luck, huh, Dark Sprocket? If you're gonna fall in a pit, you want to fall in the pit with Amanda Tapping and Jewel State. That was the part of the fun of playing McKay, I must say. All right, I'm out of here. I will say, be safe, be kind, be brilliant. And until we geek again, I will say cheerio and huzzah! Feast your eyes on the mushrooms, because they will be growing. There will be more, I'm sure, more. The next time, well, they better be, or they'll be dead. They're drying out a bit. Anyways, see you soon. thetechbandits.com. Please check it out. Please sign up for the mailing list. That would be amazing. And I will talk to you later.